Oh, something happened.
Oh, now we lost. Oh, that was weird.
I don't know what happened there.
All right. This is Mike Lanier from CarShowNationals.com. Let's roll. And I'm with Johnny Bohmer. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Johnny.
Well, where do I start? Just a guy that likes to go fast and been racing stuff, something pretty much my whole life. Just enjoy cars and motorcycles, man. I've been doing it a long time, which was everybody's freaking out because that was like really fast. And I was at this race, and Ford had brought 5 Ford GTs there. There was a couple thousand. There was probably, I'd say, probably about 300 competitors, maybe 500. I don't know. There was a lot of people there, and there was a lot of spectators there. And the word was out. I was trying to go 250. You know, everybody's and the Ford guys were all there. They walk around. They're coming and looking at my car, and it's lower. I've made a bunch of changes to the aerodynamic structure of the car. But I had a big advantage on them. I've been running the car at high speed, several different tracks. Went Texas Mile and shit like that.
Yeah.
So they were there that day, and make a long story short, their fastest time was 217 mile an hour in their fastest car, and I went 252. The internet exploded. The internet exploded. I got a call from YouTube that at that time in 2010, it was the fastest growing YouTube they'd ever had.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
It was going up 10,000 views an hour.
Wow.
Car Wars. It was 6 weeks. They kept pushing us to do more and more work. The producers were like, no, do it, just go for it, do it. And then we actually, my guy Dave, he was in charge of all the dates and times and contracts. He was supposed to be handling all the sponsors, but I had to talk to everybody. And Flex called me up because he came to the shop, and we had a little calendar on the wall, like 23 days left, 22 days left, 24, So he happened to see it, thank God. And he goes, Ed, he calls me up after he left the shop, and he goes, on your wall, it says you have 23 days left. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you only have 10. And now I thought it was some TV nonsense. I got on the phone with him. I was yelling. It was this whole scene. I don't even know why they didn't put it in. So it was probably the best TV because I was having a stroke. And then, Flex says to me, he goes, Ed, calm down. He goes, go look at the rules. So I go, Dave, go look at the rules. Now I have Flex on the phone. I'm sitting there, the smoke coming out of my ears. And my buddy Dave's reading, and then he just turns beet red. And I'm like, please, God, don't tell me, you messed up. So, we actually won a couple more days. We won like 5 days, but we still lost a whole bunch. But the producers didn't care. They were like, man, sink yourself. I don't,
It's good TV, right?
Do it, yeah. So.
Yeah, for example, one of the cars that was really ambitious, like we took 2 Datsuns, right? And we were giving these guys 350 motors and the transmissions. They got to do a whole full swap because they were all original, Datsuns. Mm-hmm. So here we got these Datsuns on there. Well, the All-Stars come out with this great idea. We're going to make a Speed Racer clone, which is great. That's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they end up doing the car. Well, first off, they needed the 2-part foam to, shape it and do all this stuff. And that was hilarious in itself because, these guys, they work in their own shop. So they pick up the phone and they're like, hey, send me that 2-part foam. And I do it too. I get a habit of not knowing the exact, particulates. Well, 2-part foam, as you know, it comes in a variety of kinds.
Density and
yeah. So the first time they order it, it's too soft. Right?
Oh man,
it's like a pillow. The second time they ordered it, it was too hard. So finally, we got in the show. We actually ended up getting the right foam for them. And they did the glass job. They got the car done. Well, they finished the car in 72 hours. Well, unbeknownst to the audience or anybody else, is that car from setting up overnight, it collapsed the suspension from the weight, right? Because so we couldn't get it off the lift because it literally went down onto the wheels and tires and they wouldn't turn.
Oh, God. 5%? Okay.
Yeah, so the fans don't see that, but that's like we had to pull it off the lift. we had to get it into the shop. And what we used to do before we tested either car was we would literally put them through a service shop there at Picture Car Warehouse, and we'd have to make sure that the brake lines, mainly for safety, because we were putting the judges in the cars and having them drive them. And, we had George Barris, we had Jimmy Shine, and we had Mad Mike. So you didn't want an accident to happen on set, even though that might have helped ratings. But so this particular car, we had to literally change the springs overnight and get it set up where you could actually steer and drive it, because it had gained so much weight and compressed. And those are the things that you don't think about when you're building. You're just thinking about the timer. I got 72 hours to finish this. I'm going to book through it. So
that's anxiety at its peak.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, but the Speed Racer, when you look at the car and you can see it in some photos and stuff. I mean, it turned out really cool. It was a great concept for them to do. Yeah. And it was kind of an homage to George Barris, who was one of the judges. So it was kind of fit.
That's cool. Yeah. It's funny. One of my guys, we got into a competition.
Originally when I got involved with it, I met with the creators of the show months before I got hired on as a producer, and I told them they were nuts. I said there were cars that were being finished on Overhaullin in 7 days and they weren't finished. So
So when it's fun, not to interrupt you, but I was on the set of Overhaullin. We did the Nomad, right? And it was like me and Chip. It was like 3 a.m, and I just happened to stop in because we went to see Dane Cook, I think, at the Laugh Factory. I was wide awake. I said, let's see if anyone's at the shop. And now it's just Chip and that guy who TIG welded the headers. I forgot what his name was, but amazing TIG welder. And I'm like, it's just Chip here? Like, I'm hanging out. I'm like getting changed. I'm getting back in my work clothes. I'm like, let's do something. So I look at Chip and I go, there's no way this will be done in what was it, 4 days, from that point. And he goes, oh, it has to be because it's for Leno. I was like, oh, shit, okay. And again, like, the reality is you finish a car, just like anyone. I mean, you could think of every possibility and still, miss a quirk, something's rubbing, this isn't perfect,
Right.
But 3 days is like, and then I think they knocked it down to 2, right?
Yes, what we did was what we found out, and you'll be amazed at this, Ed, was we found out after the first year was like we picked this pro team.
From Garage Squad. He's joined the Let's Roll podcast, the CarShowNationals.com Let's Roll podcast, I should say. Thanks for joining us today. I hear you do a lot of podcasts. I'm pretty honored that you're joining me.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be here. I think it's really cool that, you're doing this for everybody. And I think we got a lot to talk about. We discussed in the beginning, about some of the stuff. But, I think this will be a good podcast for a lot of people to, hear what's going on in the industry and what we can do to make it better. I mean, everyone's got a complaint. Everyone's got, to whine about some. But, we're also going to talk about how we can make it better today, I think will be, the main topic. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Hopefully this will work. I'm with Jeff Thisted. This is the Let's Roll podcast, and you're seeing Jeff Thisted on video, and we'll have it on the audio recording too. What's that?
This video has my hair.
Oh yeah, there you go. So Jeff can tell us he's going to be one of my new co-hosts of the Let's Roll podcast. So tell us a little bit about what you've done in your career, which is pretty long.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. I grew up in Colorado. I like cars. Moved out to LA, want to become a game show host, and worked on The Price is Right for a while. Left there. I had my own show on GSN for a bit, and then been the host of the Hot Rod Power Tour for years now. I was a product specialist with Chevy. I still have the hat and Hot Rod Power Tour.
There you go.
Getting excited for this year. We're going to be in. I know one of the stops is Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and
Nice.
yeah. So we got the Midwest Drags before that. I got the Good Guys. So I'm pretty much a live event host or TV host, that kind of stuff.
Hey, hello, this is Mike Lanier from CarShowNationals.com. Let's roll, and we got some special guests on here. Jeff Thisted's my new co-host. I got Mike Cotten and Dave Newbern, all from Faster With Finnegan. Well, not Jeff. He's my co-host, though. And let's talk to the guys, get to know them. Yeah.
Wait, first of all, what?
Huh?
Jeff.
Yeah, we got Cotten and Newbern from Faster With Finnegan. It's the new hit show on the Motor Trend app that has been breaking all records and breaking all parts. Before we get into the show, I've been seeing all over the social media. You got to think for Ram trucks and breaking them. What's going on?
Dude, so Finnegan sent me a link to a new truck that I didn't even know he was looking for. He was like, "Hey, call this guy and see if it's still available." So I called him, and it was, and we set up to go fly up to Iowa and pick this thing up and drive it home. But it didn't.
Now why? Because first of all, you had the roadkill Ram truck, and then the Square Force One that we got that I played with you guys on the Power Tour last year. And why the new one?
Oh, I don't know.
He's got a huge idea. Well, we're not going to talk about it. But like the white ramp truck, the reason why it's on the road because Dave took it to the body shop. So
yeah, the Square Force One, right?
Huh?
Well, OG
that one's Square Force One, the white one, white and red one.
Square Force One's just sitting in the garage in the shop, but the OG ramp truck, the one that had roadkill on the side.
Yeah, okay.
They took it to the body shop, and then that was Dave Daly, and they took it to the body shop, and that's getting fixed now.
And that's the one you guys put the Dodge, the diesel in that'll do burnouts forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave,
okay.
Burnout.
Yeah.
That wall, I don't care what anyone says, when you're drifting, that wall looks like it's coming a million mile at you. And I have no concept of that wall hitting me, so I'm going to be like, slow down. Don't do this. And when the hood came up, there was a slot. What you don't see is the hood flies up, and I freak out. I'm like, stop! And he wouldn't stop. Then all of a sudden, he's driving through the slot.
I laughed out loud. If I was drinking something at that point, it would have come through my nose. I saw the hood come up and laughed out loud. And I don't usually that's good stuff, man.
Stop. And I'm like in there screaming, like, stop! Like, are you crazy? He's like, no. And he's like leaned over, driving like this. And all of a sudden I go, and we're both like looking through this little peephole as he's driving. I'm like, this is crazy, dude. And he's like, oh, I'm okay. I'm like, no, you're going to kill me. Why are you going to kill me?
I thought,
what's up with the curse of NASCAR load? You guys put it in. It's always going into the wall or into a tire or something.
Hey, hold on. Don't blame that on us.
I'm blaming it on NASCAR load, not on you. It's the car.
No, it's not the car. It's the roadkill curse. Freiberger was roadkill, and he did that. And who else would roadkill? Flanagan. So Flanagan and him put it in the wall. Dave and I didn't, did we?
No.
You made it beautiful.
I stayed away from the wall.
That front end looks good now.
Dude,
people are hating on it. Like, there's a lot of hate on it, but I mean, they're like,
no.
I like the old front end better. I was like, it didn't have a front end before. Like, it was missing the front end. It had one headlight. What do you mean you like the old front end? Like, it wasn't there. Like, I don't know, whatever. But there's a lot of people that love it. There's a few haters, but I mean.
Hello, this is Mike Lanier from the CarShowNationals.com Let's Roll podcast. Today we have Shag Arrington joining us on our podcast with Jeff Thisted, my co-host. I can tell you a brief story how I met Shag. Is at the Back to the 50s show. My buddy was just complaining about TV people. Who cares about them and that? Whereas hanging out with the Frankensteiners, they're
that's right, I remember
club. So we were hanging out with the Frankensteiners. My buddy is just complaining about me knowing all these TV people, and then Joe Martin comes up with Shag, and it might have been Shorty. I think Shorty is with too. I come up to our group and started talking to us, and Shag took a picture of my shirt because I didn't have a business card, and that's how I met Shag, though. They walked away. My buddy's like, "Do you know who that was?" And I hadn't followed Joe Martin yet. I didn't know anything about him. He's like, "That was Joe Martin from the Biker Build-Off," and he was just freaking out that Joe Martin was there, and they had just walked away. And I just thought it's so funny because he's making so much fun of me. But that's how we met. That's how I met Shag.
Yeah, you guys were set up right around the corner from where we were.
Yeah, and then I met you at SEMA, and we did that little group picture.
Yep.
Well,
called all the
thanks for
guys
bringing that up. I didn't realize that he was part of the Great Biker Build-Off.
Well,
I know he's a
yeah,
motorcycle
Joe-
guy. I didn't realize that. Go ahead.
yeah,
Joe
so Joe
Martin
did,
was.
I think it was 6 of the build-offs during the Discovery Channel. They
Yeah.
had the build-offs. And then they
Yeah.
actually had the World Biker build-off. And
Okay.
Joe won the World Biker build-off. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, that seems so long ago.
Oh,
So
100%.
that's against like Jesse James, right?
Uh,
Jesse James was there.
The World was, and it's been, like I said, it's been so long. It was an
Yeah.
Australian builder, a British builder. I mean, there was, I forget it. It wasn't against Jesse. Yeah, Jesse
Okay.
and Joe are friends. You know, Jesse actually lives
Yeah.
here in Austin, not too far from the shop. And but
Okay.
I don't think they've ever done a build-off together.
Oh, and he's coming back. That's what I just
Yeah,
saw.
I saw that.
Lots of
Yeah.
rod. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
funny
kind
how
of,
many
I love
people
that
are-
show.
Everybody
Yeah.
does. If you're a car guy, that's kind of what started it all for the
Yeah.
reality
Yeah.
stuff.
And then when you had those
Yeah, I
master
love that
builders
show.
all together, Gene and all
Oh.
those other guys, that one episode.
Yes,
that
I
was
just saw that
amazing.
on Instagram. The lead slinger was there. Gene Winfield was there.
Yep.
All these icons.
Yeah,
Super
so
cool.
that's
So-
going to be going down here in Austin, just outside of Austin. They'll be they're doing the show. Hey, you know, I
Just
told
got
the
the
organizer actually just yesterday. I told her yesterday,
Okay.
make sure you submit the event to Car Show Nationals. So
Sweet.
that's awesome.
Thank you. That's probably why I got it. Now my
course.
server's getting changed over, so I still haven't been able to update it, but I'll get it on as soon as I can.
Awesome, man. Yeah, the show's out now. We don't find out if we get a 5th season until after the ratings come in. With streaming and apps and everything, people like to binge the whole season at the end of the season. So the network is waiting.
Yeah, he's my great co-host that I have, and we're here with Cherielynn Westrich from Overhaullin, and been on Overhaullin quite a few times. What,
Yep.
75
Hello,
builds?
everybody. I
Wait,
think I've done
75 builds?
75 about. So I don't know the exact
About.
number.
There's so many that you've lost count.
What? Listen, I got.
I mean,
that
that's how
number
big time
of-
you are. You don't
I
even
got
know
the
how
number-
many times you've been on Overhaullin. You and
Yeah.
Booth are like that. I mean, come on, you're big time.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's pretty. That
I
I mean,
looked
that's,
on IMDb and the website, and they said that I had 69 episodes. And then January of this year, I went back and I built 5 cars with them. So I don't know, what does that add up to? I don't do
Yeah.
math. I build cars. I'm not an algebra
exactly.
teacher.
I'm not the math guy. My pop is the math guy. He's over there.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that. I need one of
Your
those
dad's-
ciphering devices.
Bring Pop in. Let's see Pop.
Yeah, right. He's in his studio painting. Do you want to see him?
Yeah, sure. I want to see how.
Oh,
well you're
jeez.
gonna
Okay, hang
age.
on.
This is a Car Show Nationals.
Oh,
It's a Car Show Nationals exclusive.
Yeah,
it's the
never
comedy
been done.
series. But
This has
Never been done before.
Oh,
There's
hey.
there's
There's
Pop.
Pop.
Say hi to Cherielynn and Mike.
Hi, Pop.
How you doing?
Wow,
So
you're
there's
gonna
a Car
age
Show
well. You
Nationals
know what?
exclusive.
If you're
He's doing
anything
a,
like your dad, you're gonna look like a champion when you get old.
Ah, thanks.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
You're awesome.
amazing painter.
That's
Yeah, he's an
wonderful.
artist. So there's his studio, and yeah, go back to work.
Wow, yeah. Good to meet you, Pops.
Yeah, that's my. There's some of his paintings right there. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So
Whoever
anyway, yeah,
thought?
he's the math guy, not me.
Math and art.
Yeah, so 69, so 70 something. Let's just say around 100 episodes of Overhaullin. How did you get hooked up with those guys? Because I mean, in my opinion, that's that's the seminal. That's the program that kind of started it all. Where hey, and you get the phone call. Can you build a car in a week? No, nobody can build a car in a week except for Chip Foose.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean. You
Well,
guys
you
have the
know-
cul-de-sac.
Yeah,
With-
so I was working at a speedometer shop at North Hollywood Speedometer. I was just
No
rebuilding
way.
gauges. Yeah.
I didn't know you worked there.
Oh yeah, that's my alma mater, man.
They've been there for what, 200 years.
Yep, the oldest guy there I think is 178. He still works there. Yep.
Okay, yeah, because they're known all around the world. That's the first place I brought the 55 speedometer to get rebuilt.
They
It's
are
like
the best.
they're the best. So go ahead. Sorry, you.
And
You
no,
work-
so I learned so much from those guys, and I mean, they like, I mean, I worked on my own cars in my own driveway, but that was, learning a technical skill. That was like the first. So when I joined Overhaullin, which Shannon from Redline Gauge Works.
Yeah, that's what
Shannon
I've got in the car
actually-
now.
Yeah, so Shannon called me. He knew I didn't want to work at the Speedo shop because it's like tedious work, repetitive. And so he said, you know who you should work for is Chip Foose. And I said, well, who's that? I had never heard of him. I was the only one that I didn't know.
Oh,
And
you're the
so
best.
he told me about Overhaullin, Chip Foose. He actually, got it set up for me. He knew Bud. And so I went down there, and you have to build your first car for free back in those days. Because they wanted to see if you wanted to build up. One of the cars that we built was for Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about, because I
yeah.
think Shaquille O'Neal be just so fun to meet, and I bet you it was.
Yeah, it was spectacular. He is one of the nicest people on earth. He's funny, and his friends came in with him. They're funny. It was a laugh riot.
Oh yeah, he came in with an entourage, I bet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
not really. Just a few guys. I think these are just his core group of guys that he just hangs out with, a couple of friends, and
Yeah, the entourage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Famous. He discovered, I wouldn't say discovered Chip Foose, but Chip Foose is one of the guys that worked for him. All these big name builders, became huge. Mike Curtis.
Yeah.
Mike, I saw you posted about Mike Curtis. Some of those guys were all on that show,
Yeah, Mike Curtis is a champion. He's the best wheel builder out there, I think, hands down. Like, he's the best wheel designer, and
right.
He came up with those guys. With both. He worked with Foose at the wheel shop, and
Boyd.
worked for Boyd, and man, every one of those guys is successful, does a great job, and they're all super pro. I think they found the right group there, and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the first car building reality shows out there,
Yeah.
and I liked it a lot. Boyd came off to me as a real jerk, a real taskmaster, and so did Dwayne as a real jerk. But I know how they edited and whatnot. And any movie that I watch where you hate the actor, you hate this guy, it's like he's doing a good job because I don't like him.
Exactly.
You know what I
And
mean?
they edit it like that.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know Boyd. I never knew Boyd, but Mike Curtis and I have talked about it before, and I hear him tell people Boyd was great. They'd show Boyd and he'd be like, no, yeah, son of a doop. And then they'd cut. They'd edit the next part out where he says, I'm just kidding, go ahead. And so they purposely made him look worse than he was. He was he had both sides of his personality. Dwayne, however, is just, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh!
Actually, I love Dwayne. Dwayne and I became friends. I really like him. He's a great guy. I didn't really watch that show too much, but I heard that he looked really bad on there. Everybody has their good days and bad days, says things, but
Yeah.
I like him. I think Dwayne's awesome.
Dwayne's already said he'd be on the podcast too. I just gotta line all these people up. So
Get him on together with me. We're like, alrighty.
we could have like an American Hot Rod get together.
Yeah, American Hot Rod reunion.
Yeah, there you go.
I just heard they're having a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion, so that's it's
Exactly,
perfect timing.
same deal, right?
Perfect timing.
On the show, Boyd was so mad at Chip Foose, when he left. Man, but look what Chip has done since he left there, and he's just been such an amazing builder. Won so many awards. Got 11? I think he had 11 awards from World of Wheels and stuff like that. I want to say something like that. Crazy. The Hot Rod Hall of Fame and all sorts of stuff.
And he's not even gotten started yet. He's still, when I went out there, he's got so much going on. There's the Overhaullin shop, and then there's Foose Design, and Foose Design has got so much going on. It's beyond. People would tell me, well, why don't you work in Chip's shop? And I'm like, because I can't. Those guys are a level above. I'm a car builder. I can get the job done, but those guys are. So,
Well,